Meowdy one, meowdy all. Wow, first off, we're live on twitch.tv/Jafawi_. But second of all, we're making a Blades in the Dark character. So, it's a Blades in the Dark. It is a TTRPG made by John Harper. It is set in a post-apocalyptic world. The whole premise is that the centuries and centuries ago, an event called the Cataclysm happened, and the whole world after that has been plunged into darkness. Some other things from the Cataclysm has also occurred. For example, death is not permanent. When you die, your ghost leaves your body, and it is free to do what it wants, which kind of also plays into character creation a little bit, depending if your ghost makes it out alive. And second of all, demons and devils roam the streets if they are not banished. Outside of the cities, there are ghost fields, places where ghosts, devils, demons all reside, and that's why the cities are protected by electrical towers ran off devil blood, or electrified devil blood, called ectoplasm. It's called ectoplasm? Something. It's like ectoplasm. So I can give a brief rundown of what Blades in the Dark is before we get into creating our character, because there's a few characters on the screen right here that we'll be making. We're making one of them. We're picking one, and then we're going through the basic character creation of creating our character. This is typically, session zeros for Blades in the Dark, you'll be creating your characters, but at the same time, you'll be creating your crew. So this is a TTRPG system that also has a crew. So you play as scoundrels in the city, underground crime syndicates, and you have a separate sheet for your crew that you utilize bonuses from, and there's also like a layer system and all. I'm back. Sorry about that. So this game takes place in the cold, foggy city of Duskwall, or Duskwall. It's industrial and its development. Imagine a world like ours during the second industrial revolution of the 1870s. There are trains, steamboats, printing presses, simple electricity technology, and so forth, and the black smog of chimney smoke everywhere. Duskwall is something like a mashup of Venice, London, and Prague. It's crowded with row houses, twisting streets, crisscrossed with hundreds of little waterways and bridges, and sewer systems. The city is also fantasy. The world is in perpetual darkness and haunted by ghosts, a result of the cataclysm that shattered the sun and broke the gates of death 1,000 years ago. The cities of the empires are each encircled by crackling lightning towers to keep the vengeful spirits and twisted horrors of the Deathlands. To power these massive barriers, the titanic metal ships of the Leviathan Hunters are sent out from Duskwall to extract ectoplasmic blood from massive demonic terrors upon the ink-dark Void Sea. You are in a haunted Victorian era trapped inside a wall of lightning powered by demon blood. The whole idea of this game is that you're meant to make a name for yourself, but at the same time, the idea is that you can't run from the consequences. A lot of the time, you will be running into some heat generated by your heists, whether that be indirectly caused by you or directly caused by you. And rather than other games or other settings allowing you to just run away from the city, this game actively encourages you to embrace the heat that you cause, as well as play around trying to navigate the heat, the heat that you're causing. The point of all this is to create a pressure cooker environment for our criminal escapades. Traveling outside the lightning barrier is a very bad idea. So it's impractical to leave town and wait for the heat to die down after you pull off a score. Everything the players choose to do has consequences for their characters and shift the balance of power around the city, driving the action of a sandbox style of role-playing game. And then there's a full guide somewhere later in the book. Ah, there's a bot. There's a bot in my streams. Get out of here. We don't tolerate those. Get out of here, man. Bam. What if I decide to just do legit work? I mean, you can, but you don't earn a lot of money. You're typically like a score in this. If you get the actual like currency in this game is a lot of it's subjective, I guess, in a sense. A coin is typically what you'll carry, but a coin in this game is referred to a week's worth of salary. So you'll typically be doing heists that may pay out to like 5 or 6 coin. So that's 5 or 6 weeks worth of salary that an average person will be getting. She darkened my blade. Oh, okay, hold on. There we are. How you doing, Mage? We're creating a character, and you guys get to have some input as well. So, there are a few characters in this game. We won't be doing a crew. I might leave that to another video. So you guys have to click on that one when that comes out. And I might come back to this one and put a little banner. You know, the one of those little cards at the top of the screen, like how to create a crew. We'll do that later. So your characters play as scoundrels, and there are 7 classes to choose from. I'm totally not looking right there and saying 8. But anyway, the scoundrels attempt to develop their crew from a ragtag group of poor independents to a serious criminal organization with established turf. They do this by taking illegal jobs from clients, planning their own devious missions, making alliances, destroying their enemies, and trying to stay one step ahead of the law. There are several characters types to choose from, each representing a different style of scoundrel. So you have cutters. They are intimidating fighters. Hounds are deadly sharpshooters and trackers. Leeches are tinkerers, alchemists, and saboteurs. Lurks are stealthy infiltrators. Slides are manipulators and spies. Spiders are devious masterminds and typically referred to as people that are already well established of the criminal underworld before you even start this. And whispers are arcane adepts able to commune with ghosts. So I don't know. I kind of like the idea of either creating maybe a spider, or we could do like a lurk. This game plays a lot of inspiration off games like Dishonored or Peaky Blinders, for example. A lot of inspiration comes from those sort of stuff. Thief as well, Bloodborne, Gangs of New York, the film, Heat. Are we gonna go for a lurk, or are we gonna go for a spider? Are we gonna go stealthy infiltrator, or are we gonna go a bit of a devious mastermind? You guys get to pick. Actually, I can do. Let me get like an actual like explanation of these guys. I should have marked these all individually. So, Lurk are a stealthy infiltrator and burglar. There is no longer any sunlight. The world is plunged into eternal night. There are scoundrels who live in the darkness, who prowl the underworld unseen, trespassing where they will. They are the burglars, the spies, the infiltrators, the cutthroats, commonly called lurks. When you play a lurk, you gain XP when you address a challenge with stealth or evasion. Stay out of sight, sneak past your enemies, and strike from the shadows. If things go wrong, there is no shame in disappearing into the night. For now, your greatest ally is the dark of the twisting city, its ink dark streets, its rooftop pathways. There's like typically as well, like when you actually get the rule book, like there's questions to ask the characters as well. But the spider is a devious mastermind. The underworld may appear on the surface to be a chaotic array of warring factions and bloody deeds, but it has a beautiful order to those who are able to see it. This pattern is the web of connections, favors, vendettas, and secrets that bind the criminal world together. The scoundrels who pluck the strands of this web are known as spiders. When you place a spider, you gain XP when you address a challenge with calculation or conspiracy. Reach out to your contracts, friends, and associates to set your crew up for success. Use your downtime activities and flashbacks wisely to prepare for trouble and to calculate the angles of success. When things go wrong, don't panic. Remember, you planned for this. So that's the lurk of the spider. Each have separate starting actions as well. This is a D6 system. So when you roll your D6s and you pick the highest number. There are different arrays of success. So 1 to 3 is a complete fail. You do not succeed in what you're doing at all, and there are heavy consequences. If you get a 4 or 5, it is a success with a complication. It is a complication that the GM will automatically put into place, or further on down the line. This could be like a new obstacle or a different modifier to the situation they're in currently. If you do 6, you plan what you do immediately and successfully with no consequences whatsoever. This game is typically seen as hopping from obstacle to obstacle until the heist is done. But you might add your own GM flavor into it as well. Everything doesn't have to be an obstacle to an obstacle. They can be talking with people, planning stuff, bribing someone. There are also flashbacks that you can utilize. For if you are in an obstacle, your players can call upon a flashback. So they can say in the middle of the scene, I want a flashback to a previous point in a time where something has happened. They've done an action, or they have maybe bargained with someone, and that modifies the situation they're in now. It can't completely overwrite the obstacle, but it could be that the guard they are currently facing or about to face, they've paid off. And all of a sudden, this guard will either be a little bit more loosey-goosey with how they see them, or they may have betrayed them. Typically, you will also still roll dice for the flashback to see how well the flashback went. And the characters will mark stress according to the GM determination of how stressful this flashback would have been. We're going 50-50. Shall I flip a coin? Shall I flip a dishonored coin? Can I open this up? I don't want to open it up, to be fair. All right. Empress protects us. That'll be the lurk. And 4 nations will be spider. Okay? It is 4 nations. We're going for spider. All right. Let me download this one real quick. We are... Bam. Right. So we're in. So the spider, this PDF thankfully already has the starting actions of the spider already lit. So they have 1 in insight, study, and 2 in resolve, consort. So the amount of pips in each box, or in each actions, should I say, equates to how many dice they can roll for that action. If you have no dots in that action, you roll 2 dice and you take the lowest score. And typically what you'll be doing is you'll either be pushing yourself, taking some stress to add some dice, or you will accept a devil's bargain, which is the GM's sort of, you get a bonus die, but this will happen as a consequence. So even if you get a roll of 6, this will still happen. So we've chosen our playbook. In Blades in the Dark, you typically don't have classes. They are referred to as playbooks. So we've played that. We now get to choose a heritage. So we have either Skovlun. It'll be around here somewhere. Okay, so here we are. So our heritage is Fat treasure heritage. So heritage is where you'll come from. So typically it'll be like the actual land from where your people come from. You then have your background. So there are a few in this. You have Akorus. Akorus is the largest and most industrial land in the Imperium, and in home to the capital city as well as Duskval itself. They're known as a diverse conglomeration of cultures that have grown together in close proximity for centuries, something like Europe. You have the Dagger Isles if you want to be a ruthless wanderer. People who grew up on ships and travel a lot before settling down. They're known as corsairs and merchants who live without lightning barriers, dealing with spirits in other ways. If you want to be like a foreign by the locals, you can go to Iruvia, a rich and powerful desert kingdom far to the south. It's another diverse land of varying cultures, similar to Old Persia, Egypt, and India. If you want to be considered wild, considered to the rest of the empire, you can go for Cerberus. Outside of the few imperial settlements, most Cerberusi live in nomadic horse tribes scattered across the blasted Deathlands, surviving within the ruins of ancient arcane fortresses, which still repel spirits. If you want to be from marginalized people, you can be a Skovlan, the island kingdom just across the sea from Dustfall. Skovlan was last to be brought under the imperial rule. Over the course of the 36 Unity War, which ended only a few years ago, most Skovlanders, refugees who lost their homes and jobs in the destruction of the war, have come to Duskval, seeking new opportunities. Or, if you want to be weird, you can go for Triceros. Or Triceros? Triceros? It's a semi-mystical place, a mythical place, far away beyond the northern Void Sea. Everyone says that the people there are part demon. So if you choose this heritage, you have to also pick a different feature, like a demonic telltale. You might have feathers for hair. Your hands might have like skills, or they might have some sort of scales. Typically to mark your character. It's a bit more of a mystical thing. A lot of people don't like them, so you have to roleplay that accordingly. Was it hi Danny? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well as well. I'm going to go a bit boring. I kind of want to do a Koros. Because we're playing a spider, we're also a mastermind in the area. So I feel like growing up in this area will be the best. To have that kind of that flavor-wise of... Oh, can you not edit this? Right, we're back. Slightly different sheet, because the other one wasn't editable. I want to go for Ikoros. Typically, just because I feel like it fits better for the character to be situated in the place that they already begin, as well as if they're a spider, they typically can probably have a lot more connections that way. So next, we have to pick our background. So when we do this, it's typically you pick a front, and then it can be whatever you want after that. So, for example, if you're an academic, you can say that you're either a student or a professor, or you might be a physician or something. You know, it's not saying, oh, academic, that's my background. You create the flavor of your character. So you have academic, which could be a scholar, a professor, or a student from Duskval Academy, a philosopher or journalist. You can be a laborer, a servant, a factory worker, a coach driver, a docker, a sailor, a railjack, which is a person that is like part of a gang. They kind of operate the they kind of operate like all the hot air balloons around the city and stuff, I believe. Don't quote me on that. You can be law, which is an advocate or barrister, a blue coat or inspector. Blue coats are the police in the city. They're the ones that enforce it, and they're kind of corrupt in themselves. So typically, you could probably bribe them if you do get into trouble with them. You could be a spirit warden, a person that specifically is targeted to hunting down and dealing with ghosts of recently deceased people, or if one has escaped. A prison guard from Ironhook, which is like one of the prisons. You can be part of a trade, a shopkeeper, a merchant, a skilled craftsperson, a shipping agent, a liaison to the Ministry of Preservation. It could be military, an Imperial or Skovlander soldier, recently returning from the Unity War, a mercenary, an intelligence operative, a strategist, a training instructor, etc. If you guys have any ideas that stand out to you, feel free to give them a shout. Just type them in chat. You could be a noble, a dilettante, a courtier, or a scion of a fallen house. Or you could be from the underworld, a street urchin, gang member, young thug, or some other outcast who grew up on the streets. Meow, meowdy Quissy, how you doing? We're creating a Blaze in the Dark character. I kind of want to go... I feel like trade and having like a barkeeper. I feel like a barkeeper would be someone that's really good at working with the underground. Scion of the Fallen House. Potentially. Potentially. You could be like, when you're in the Scion, you could be one of their advisors, maybe. You could do that. Need to go EEPs? You better be getting that rest. So we can go for Scion, if I could type, of Fallen House. I cannot type today. Perfect. At this point now, we assign 4 action dots. So no action may be begin with a rating higher than 2 during character creation. Afterwards, they can obviously go up to 3 or 4, and your crew can obviously upgrade it as well, depending if you pick the right upgrades for it. So I wanted to say, so on the right-hand side here, we have 2 points in Consort, 1 point in Study. I want to go for Survey, put a point in Survey. We have 4 points. So we've got 3 to do now. And then we get to pick a special ability after this. So let's go for Finesse. Because a lot of the time in this game, you can argue that a certain action is what you're trying to do. So if we're trying to like quickly take something from someone, that could be a finesse. If we want to trip someone up, that'd be a skirmish. Or if you want to throw them into something, that could be a wreck. It could also be a skirmish. There are in this game a lot of the actual like actions overlap each other, and that's by design. It is by design. A lot of the time, like a lot of the things in the if you look in the action book when it comes to actions, a lot of these will say this action does this, but these 2 actions may also be more appropriate. Stib, stab, stoop. I've stabbed thee with my rapier. I'd prefer a Zweihander, to be fair. A Zweihander is a lot cooler of a sword. Let's go. We don't really do any fighting, but I feel like if we're in a position that we're fighting, I feel like a spider would have a get out of the way plan. So let's go 1 point in command. That's... Oh, didn't actually activate. There we are. So we have 1, 2, 3. Do we go for finesse? That's what it wasn't prowl, it was finesse. Sorry. Oh. Or should we go for sway? No, I don't know. I want to put another one into prowess. Do we go for one for No, do we go for prowl or do we go for skirmish? Are we going to be like more of a sneaky mastermind or a mastermind of free force? That is the question. Are we going to be like some sort of like big brute of a mastermind that is a bit more of an on the overpowering side, or are we going for more of like someone that's like slim, let's say maybe probably doesn't eat as much as they should do, and that might be, you know, that could work into things later on? Slim? Should we go for prowl then? I feel like prowl will be more... We're trying to stay out of conflict. Maybe we're maybe we try and work from the shadows a little bit more. Kind of like similar to like that lurk where we are working from the shadows, but we are making contacts. And we're doing work. But at least now we have some points in all three. So we have insight, prowess, and resolve. At least that way we can actually do some stuff. But we're a little bit more, not well-rounded. We still got only 1 dice. So the results are a little bit skewed in our favor. Or out of our favor. But we also have the ability to push ourselves with 2 stress. Or we take a devil's bargain. I feel like devil's bargain might be a little bit more fitting for a spider. Because obviously the underworld is just gritty. Right, so after that, we choose a special ability. So each toolkit has their own special ability. These are based on your playbook. Typically, they are based on your character, and you can interact with that during the heists or during free play to utilize to your advantage. For example, we have Foresight, so 2 times per score. You can assist a teammate without paying stress. So you can give someone an additional dice, but you would take the stress if you're next to them. You then tell everyone else how you prepared for this. This is a lot of the game. A lot of this game revolves around, oh, I prepared this way, rather than preparing before the actual heist. A lot of it is done during it, kind of like a movie, kind of like how they have those flashbacks to how that person suddenly got into the vault 2 hours into the film when they didn't even show you. That's why when you scroll down here to the equipment, it's all unticked. It's only ticked when you use it during a heist. So we have Foresight, which I've just explained. We have Calculating. Due to your careful planning during downtime, you may give yourself or another crew member an additional downtime action. There is Connected. During downtime, you get a +1 result when you acquire an asset or reduce heat. Acquiring assets is something that you can temporarily use for your next heist. Reducing heat is something that you can do after completing a heist, or a score as they're referred to in this game, and you generated heat. If the heat gets too hot, then you up yourselves into another wanted level. This typically comes with a downside. It could be something that the guards may be more present of you, or you may have attracted unwanted, unnatural attention. For example, I believe one of them is like a ghost attaches to the hideout or to one of the players, and typically they'll be messing you around. We have functioning vice. When you indulge your vice, you may adjust the dice outcome by 1 or 2, up or down. An ally who joins in your vice may do the same. The idea being that if you roll above the amount of die, so when you indulge on a vice, you reduce your stress. If you can overindulge in your stress if you remove more stress than you have actually combined. Let's say I have 2 stress and I reduce my stress by 3. I have accidentally overindulged in my vice, and that is bad. That usually comes with outcomes such as bonus heat. It could be that my vice has cut me off and I have to find a new vice. So for the time being, I would be unable to reduce stress, which is bad because then you suffer trauma. Trauma is a permanent debuff to your character. As soon as you suffer 4 traumas and you experience another one, your character is either dead or they retire. Typically, how much gold they're carrying when they hit that point details how their retirement goes. At which point, you pick up probably a new character. This game is very brutal in that sense, but it is also it's a lot of storytelling. The game actively encourages a narration and storytelling. So we have Ghost Contract. When you shake on a deal, you and your partner, human or otherwise, both bear a mark of your oath. If either break the contract, they take level 3 harm cursed, as the oath breaks and burns into their hand. That sounds cool. I like that. The one that I was watching, so I watched Outside Extra. They do a lot of tabletop role-playing. They do mostly like Deadlands. They do a bit of D&D. They've done Blades in the Dark in the past during lockdown. And I've been watching all of them. They're really good. We have Jailbird. When incarcerated, your wanted level counts as 1 less. Your tier is 1 more, and you gain +1 faction status with a faction you help on the inside, in addition to your incarceration roll. You have Mastermind. You may expend your special armor to protect a teammate, or to push yourself when you gather information or work on a long-term project. Or the last one, Weaving the Web. You gain +1d, +1 dice, to consort when you gather information on a target for a score. Gain +1d to your engagement roll for that operation. So what are we thinking? I think either we do Connected, where we get +1 result when we acquire an asset or reduce heat, or we go for Ghost Contract, because Ghost Contract sounds badass. But typically, a lot of these will be helping your characters out or helping your other teammates out. It's a very teamwork heavy game. You're all working together to achieve the same score, whether that be money, whether that be land, because you can take land in this. You may work together to take down a faction. Ghosts are the name of the game. No? Wait, Ghosts are the name. So a Ghost Contract, are you referring to the Ghost Contract, Winter? Because the Ghost Contract is just you make a pact with someone. And that is just basically like you have a supernatural power in that sense. Someone, I believe, potentially someone that you can't see and the other person can't see, or like authorizes your oath, and will like watch over you. So your character could break the oath that you set with that person. You would then take that harm. It also means that they take the harm if they break their oath to you. Are we saying Ghost Contract then? Because I think that sounds pretty nice. I'll mark it for now anyway. So, once we have chosen our special ability, we then mark down a close friend, a close friend, and a rival, which are seen down here. So these are like ones that are pre-made. We have Celia, an informant. I can't speak now. We have Salia, an information broker. August, a master architect. Jenna, a servant. Riven, a chemist. And Jeren, a blue coat archivist. Sounds like power. I mean, this is a supernatural world. The Whisper, I believe they're called. Have I already forgotten it? I probably have. They are actually able to command the ghosts. You're able to do a lot of like supernatural things in this game. So I'm thinking, because this is where we also flesh out sort of like our characters of what they've done in the past and what they've done in like to do this. I want to say, we pissed off the Blue K archivist. I want to say that our character has probably swindled them for information in the past, or maybe we had to break into their office to get some information. Maybe that's why they're our rival. Maybe we worked together on a case before. They came to me they came to this character for some help. And we've gone, yeah, sure, we'll help you. Wink. And we got more out of the bargain than probably we asked for. So I'm going to say we're going to mark them as the rival. But for who do we mark as an up? Could go for the information broker. It could be maybe the chemist. These are like people that you can like talk to during your downtime. Maybe get some help from them, maybe not. The actual like situations could change. So we could actually do something quite nice for Jeren and turn them into an ally, rather than a rival. I want to say I'm still between Riven or Celia. Or Salia? Information broker or a chemist? Let's think. What sounds cooler? What sounds cooler and what actually is more interesting? I think maybe a chemist. We've helped them get some deals in. Maybe we've worked with them in our web, and we've probably like established some connections for them. Maybe we've started them up on their business and got them their first few like contacts. Maybe. I think that works out. I think that's pretty. We can then talk to them and go, we need some chemicals. No, remember the time we helped you set up your first deal, maybe? So we'll mark them as, when we can, as our close ally. So typically throughout the game, you'll probably come across more people, more characters. You then obviously mark them down. If the GM says that you made them a close ally or a rival, you'd mark it accordingly. And then you'd have to probably either improve those situations or maintain them, whichever. Next, we have a vice. So a vice is the way that your character clears stress. Typically, this can be through a lot of things. They give you some examples: faith, gambling, luxury, obligation, pleasure, stupor, or weird. I kind of want to say, and this plays into what we guys said earlier, where he's like slim. I was gonna say slim shady then. He's slim. I was gonna obscure. What's a word? What is a word? A word is a construct that we use to describe something. Trying to think of a word for like hard to notice. Looks complicated. It looks complicated, but it's a lot easier to understand than it actually is. But how you doing, Rain? Hope you're doing well. Slim. Oh, what's the word? I'm trying to think of a word. Looking what kind of word? Someone that's hard to spot in a crowd. Let's have a look. Elusive. There we are. So they're slim, elusive, smart dressed. When you're making like connections, you want to be smart dressed, I feel. But okay, so the fact that we said slim earlier, I feel like his vice will be that it's probably pleasure, but it is but with a hat. Ooh. And I can't type hat. Like a fedora. It sounds cheesy, but like I'm thinking like mob boss fedora energy. Not online neckbeard. Top hat. Oh, we're going like the penguin. Malay. No, not like that. Not like that. I'm thinking like actual gangster stuff. Fedoras, not that sort of style. You guys. We're not having a neckbeard. We're not having a neckbeard spider. A trilby? Is that the word? Is that what it's called? Trilby. That is not how you spell trilby. That is not how you spell trilby either. Yes, that's it. Yeah, like a trilby. Hey, Zero. Swirly mustache. How swirly? Can I? There we are. Wife knows fashions and hats. Understandable. Used to wear them in college. I had a pink leopard print. Oh my lord. Right. I think. So this guy is slim. I think his vice will be probably eating a lot of food. Sounds weird. But I feel like he probably gets so involved in his work that he forgets to eat. And that's why that's kind of why maybe. Don't judge me. I'm not judging. I was going to say mukbang, but that's not the right word. Is mukbang the right word? Mukbang is like the actual like 2020 word, isn't it? Binge eating, that's the word. That's the word I was thinking of. So maybe like his vice is actually like, okay, like I've done like 2 days on this heist or this score. I actually need to eat. and I'm just gonna eat a lot. That might be what it is. So that's a vice. You pick a preferred type of vice, you detail it with a short description, and indicate the name and the location of your vice purveyor. That's just gonna be like a restaurant. Bed, binge eating disorder. His vice is a Chinese buffet. Oh, I don't think they had Chinese buffets back in the Victorian times, unfortunately. A lot of the actual food in this game is actually like eel as well. Very reminiscent to Victorian England with the Thames, where the Thames in London were so bad that the only thing that could survive in it was eels. His vice was a potato and a meat buffet. Ooh. I mean, it could be any sort of food, couldn't it? It could be like maybe it could be around the idea. It could be actually. Let's do this. His vice is eating food near where the actual crime is, the heist they've done. Maybe it could be like a sense of going back, eating the food, but at the same time kind of observing how the world has changed around that area. He's like trying to put his mark on the place. And so a downside could be that if he overindulges, he might have drawn some tensions of maybe some of the blue coat police that are around looking at some of the issues. It could be that maybe they start asking questions and that generates heat. Because he seems to know a little bit. He seems to be a little bit more confident on what he thinks has happened, and it sounds suspicious to those people. Maybe these are all ideas. These are all ideas that we could probably put. You know, like the GM would probably incorporate into the dice roll failure if that's what happens. The spider is also a lot of like a lot around assisting your teammates. So. Maybe the ghost contract works. Maybe, you know, we kind of get the idea that we ghost contract someone that's seen someone do something or one of the scoundrels has done. One of your fellow scoundrels has done. You do enter a ghost contract. Neither of you talk about what's happened. Ghost contract. You know? It ensures that, you know, if the person does spill the beans, level 3 harm is the highest harm you can take. If you take another level 3 harm, that pushes it up to a level 4 harm, which is death. So we take it as we will. We take it as we will. Right. And with that, we go on to the last part. The last part is quite simply just picking a name. An alias and a look. We've already filled out the look because I feel like the look worked into like maybe like sort of like the vice as well. But name. There's a bunch of names. I'm looking through like the example names, and I think Arvus, Arvus, is standing out to me. But there are a few others. They're bricks. There's Maya, Myre. There's Finn, Phin. Stavril, it's also another cool one. Philip. Oh. Can we have it Philip but with a F instead of PH? I kind of want to like be a little bit more fantasy styled Philip. So we go like this. Hold on, I need to spell first. Like that. So that's their name. I can't think of a second name. But alias. What we're gonna do for a spider? Their alias is all around like creating webs, connections, maybe. Some of the examples here: bell, bricks, chime, cross, echo, flint, Skinner, spur, tackle, fawn, TikTok. No joke. Philip, your mouth. Filipofina. Ooh. What was that? Phil Lockhart. Nah. Could think of it like a spider. What spider? What spider things are there? Wait, this isn't the Final Fantasy. My bad. No, I haven't bought that TTRPG yet. I haven't bought the Final Fantasy TTRPG. Maybe one day. Maybe one day we'll look into that. Spider theme? Yeah. So the actual like playbook is spider. So I'm thinking like an alias of an actual name. House spider. I'm trying to think of like actual spider names. Finish the game first, boy. Maybe. Spider. That's spider breeds. They're not breeds, are they? Tell me that. Philip Weber. Daddy Longlegs. I'm gonna hate this. I'm on the Spider Spotters website. That has not been set up for mobile whatsoever. Arachnide? Oh, you're thinking arachnid? I don't know how to spell it either. Oh, I spelled it right first time. And there we are. We have our character. So we have Philip, who goes by Arachnid. They are slim, elusive. They dress typically with they have a swirly mustache, and they're typically smart dressed with a top hat. They come from Ikoros, the main country / place that Duskfall, which Blades in the Dark is based in, is set in. They are a scion of a fallen house. Nickname is Archie, who matches the tie. Sicarus. Ooh. Hold the phone. Sicarus does sound cool. They're the ones that are those the ones that blend in with the sound? Oh, hands down. I'm sorry, Raina. We're absolutely abolishing that one. We're going for Sicarus. Because A, it fits in with the elusiveness. They're a spider as well, which fits into spiders. They hide in their surroundings, which blends in with the yeah, Sicarus, 10,000 times better name. They're a scion of a fallen house. So they already had inner workings of communications with people. I feel like they would have been like an advisor for someone. and that's how they got their startings with the underworld. And their vice is binge eating, which is a pleasure vice. Binge eating at the source of the crime, where it happened. There's the cute little tiny ones. No, they're massive. They're massive. I just looked at them. They're absolutely massive. They have their friend Riven, who is a chemist, who they helped work with setting up contracts with new people when they first started making their chemical drugs or chemicals in the business in the underworld. And Jeren, a blue coat archivist, who they stole some documents from, whether that be through trickery or be breaking into their house. No, I'm asking what are the name of the tiny... Oh, I'm not a spider person. I'm not a big fan of spiders. They also have the special ability Ghost Contract. So when they shake on a deal, them and the partner, whether it be human or otherwise, both bear a mark of their oath. If either breaks the contract, they take level 3 harm, cursed. And last but not least, we put some points into survey, into finesse, prowl, and command. Typically, load and equipment, they'll come into effect when you actually play the game. Like a warlock, yes. This is so Blades in the Dark is a fantasy system. A lot of ghosts, demons, devils, supernatural forces all come into play. They have all these cool fancy little things. You can become a ghost, you can become a vampire, which is a ghost that's possessed a person long enough for them to take over the control of the body. Not your typical vampire. And you also have the clockwork ones. They are called... What are they called? Holes. That's what they're called. What of a phantom? So a ghost is a phantom. When your character dies, you can choose for them to be a ghost. And then they need to work. Their vice then becomes life essence. So they need to haunt people. They need to haunt people to get life essence. But bam, that's it. We've now made our first character in Blades in the Dark. I do hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you are now ready to sit down and make your own characters. And I hope to hear the awesome stories that you guys create with your GMs, your players. I want to hear all the wonderful sort of heists and scores that you all have been on. As always, make sure to leave a comment, a like, and subscribe. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful evening, adventurers, and take care. Have fun in your mystical world of Duskfall. Bye-bye.